Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. We're doing another Zenless Zone Zero video. I wanted to do just a quick trend and pattern that I'm beginning to notice. Um, and I wanted to spend some time kind of looking at that trend because it's starting to become a little bit more and more prominent um, than it was before. So as we approach the anniversary, which is tomorrow, I'm going to be live streaming for it. I wanted to highlight a few things. So this actually caught my attention. Let me actually just go right here because I was pulling up this information. Um, so a lot of this information, I feel like this was kind of embedded. And I mentioned it briefly um, throughout the videos, but there's something that I wanted to highlight, some trends and patterns that I've been noticing. And you know, I didn't actually pull up. Give me 1 second. I'm going to pause this real fast. All right, we're back. So one thing I wanted to highlight. So I'm going to actually start with the character that was released the longest ago. And that is Astra Yao. And I'm going to go specifically to her ultimate. I want to highlight something in our ultimate. HP recovery multiplier. So we have not seen, this was the first time we saw a character healing. So if I like, when I look at the characters, and we're going to go, actually I can just do this right here. And that's where I can pull this up. So if we look at all the agents, we have not seen a healer to date until she came out. There was no characters that could heal because of just the structure of this game, and there were no healers. There were zero. Ben was a shielder and Caesar was a shielder, but we never saw a healer. And so we saw, and again, it's not like she's healing like crazy, but it is in her ult that she's healing people, right? Like it's like, okay, so we're seeing healing, right? And that's kind of interesting. I was like, oh, that's actually, for me, that was actually kind of a really interesting point that we see her starting to heal. And then I started noticing another trend that was kind of, and it was small, and I caught this a while back, but I want to go to Yuan's ultimate. And I want to point this out right here. Upon activating this skill, Yuan evenly distributes a squad's HP. So if we think about, like, a lot of times what might happen is if you have a character that's on field a lot, right? She or he or whoever, if they're like, you know, you're just having a character that is on the field a really, really long time, they're gonna get hit a lot. It's just not hit a lot, but they're gonna take damage. I mean, there's like AOE's and stuff like that. And I thought it was really interesting that we haven't seen healers, and then you know we're starting to see. Oh, interesting. We got a little bit of a healer here. We've got an HP distribution character. Interesting. That's new. And then so let's look at Panda's ultimate. And I wanted to pull this up real quick, chain. And if we look, he not only has a flat heal, 160%, actually raises up to his max amount. He's got a flat heal right here. He's also got a hot now. Now, if we think about Yuan, that's interesting. So we're now getting not only a hot over time that can heal up that when because she's distributing it. So she's like we're planning on her getting hit, and then you know we do Panda, and Panda will then heal up that damage, but she can stay on the field. But what's interesting now is we're starting to see healers come into the game, and we didn't really see a lot of healers before this coming into the game. And so that's starting to make me think a lot about when we think of like beforehand it was always dodge, block, you know, you have these things, skill expression to mitigate, like you could go through and not take damage, right? But now we've like let's be real here. We have 1, 2, 3, and all within about the past. I mean, it'll be like over like a 3 to 4 month period. But within 3 to 4 months, when the game over the first 8 months never released a healer, now we're getting healers like more frequently. This is leading me to think that we're going to be getting game modes where we might start having tick damage or unavoidable damage, or more area of effect damage. Or what I've been realizing as I was doing tower is that you'll take like a random hit here and there. Sometimes like you can dodge things. I'm wondering how they're going to start increasing the difficulty because again, this is a gotcha game. So they're going to try to increase the difficulty. But if we think about these characters right now, right? Like we never had healers, and then I don't know, we're starting to get we now have 3 characters that can do some healing of some form. And the other thing I want to highlight, and maybe people have already alluded to this, maybe they figured it out, who knows, right? But very quickly, I just want to point this out about Astra Yao, or we can just pick anything, is that she's HP based. And so when we think about, I'm just trying to see if I can just get it, but she's in an HP based, it's actually, I'll just go to her, it's in her passive right here. So extra sheer force max HP. It's like literally the first line, but it's right here. So based on her max HP, with every 1 point of max HP increasing sheer force by zero point 0.1. So she is an HP scaling character. We have an HP scaling character here that distributes HP evenly. We've got a panda that can heal based on HP, and then we've got a character that's tagging people in and out, and her ult heals. Two ults now that heal, and we have a character that distributes HP and is HP based. I'm just telling y'all, we are most likely going to be seeing a shift in the design of the game. I think they're going, rather than like make things harder, they're going to make you need different things at different times. Because we've seen this happen a lot now, is that, we think about like what happened, right? Like beforehand, I'm just going to pick like, who's a good example of this? Right, Xian. When she came out, it was like, there was a meta of you stun and then you bring out your DPS when the agent is stunned, and then you go and then you do as much damage as possible in that stun window, and then rinse repeat, rinse repeat. So it would always be you stun the guy down, you go into the 3 chains, you get your support to do your big get the buff on that. It was like literally, you would just, if we think about like the way DPS would work, is like you're really just trying to get as much damage out of the boss as possible in a very short time window, right? And then we saw because at that point, I'm going to just back out and go back to this real quick, if it will go back. There we go. And then we saw Jane, and Jane highlighted a massive shift from, we don't need a break anymore, we don't need to stun them, now we can just do damage all the time with Anomaly. And that was then further followed up by Miyabi. And we haven't really seen a shift in meta yet. It's now, we can just, Anomaly kind of reigns right now. I think that there are other ways to do this, but Anomaly is kind of like the thing that's reigning supreme with the Miyabi team, with the Jane Doe team. I mean, I've been keeping both those teams pretty much. I mean, I'm not saying that like the Lighters team and Ugo aren't great, but if we think about where the meta is sitting right now, it's just DPS all the time, anytime, everywhere, right? With a little bit of some sustain in there if you need it to feel comfortable. I really like Astra because she does give you that like damage, but also a little bit of that comfortability with the heal. I'm like, oh, my character's getting a little bit lower. Astra, boom, come on in and heal out. Caesar gives you that nice little shield. But I have a feeling, and again, this is no duh to a lot of people, but we're gonna be seeing very prominent another shift in the meta, and that meta shift will be more now about, there may be levels, and again, I don't know. Maybe there's leaks. I don't know. I'm just saying because if I'm looking at a trend here, in 3 to 4 months, we're getting now 2 characters that heal, and then 1 character that balances HP out, who also synergizes with the other 2 characters. That seems a little, what's the right word? There is a trend emerging that is kind of unavoidable, because again, if we look at all these characters, there was no one that could heal, and then out of nowhere in 3 months we get this, like, very quickly we started getting characters like Ben was the only character before that had this shield, and it's a nice shield, but then we get Seth, and then we get Seth and Caesar, and then we get Astra, and we're starting to notice some more comfortability kind of come into the game. But I'm beginning to wonder if that comfortability is going to shift from comfortability to not mandatory, but that they're going to want more people to have more ways to feel a little bit more comfortable. Because again, as we're seeing right now, this is a really prominent shift that's happening, and I have a feeling we're going to see more characters that are going to heal, or more characters that are a little bit more bruisery and are going to start taking damage. Because again, you can only do block dodge so much until you start making it a little bit more interesting in the ways that people operate with those mechanics. Like, what if there is a character that every time they block, they maybe heal a little bit? So then it encourages you to do different things, encourages you different play styles. I'm just saying right now, it's like similarly when we saw that shift to Anomaly, we're seeing now they haven't released a lot of well, they have with Vivian, where she right here, but at the same time, it wasn't like, I mean, we literally went from like Jane to like, it wasn't exactly Jane, but it was like within multiple patches, you had like Jane, Miyabi. It was like Jane, Yanagi, Miyabi, right? And you're like, oh my god, well, Jane, Bernice, Yanagi, Miyabi. It was just like boom, and then it went to Jane. They were all within months of it, like very short period. Jane, Bernice, Yanagi, and then Miyabi, right? And so we're like two big teams are established very quickly, and then I feel like those teams have been. I haven't really needed to change those teams. I've been using pretty much those teams this entire time with summoning minimally. Um, and now I'm ready to go. And I have a feeling they're going to try to do this again. And we're going to see a shift now. And maybe it's not HP based, but I have a feeling we're going to start wanting to invest in some level of sustain, which we haven't needed yet. Maybe I'm wrong. Who knows? But I'm having a feeling um, we're going to start seeing some kind of shift. And again, I think that's healthy. I think that's good for games to shift because you don't want to be playing the same game all the time everywhere, right? You want to like adapt and change. And yeah, so I think with that in mind, that's pretty much all I wanted to talk about. It's a really short video, but it was just like, I would say if you are planning on playing this game, I would really think about, you know, maybe saving for some characters that can help you sustain. If you don't have Astra, get Astra, by the way. Other than that, folks, that's pretty much all I want to talk about in this video. Other than that, if you think I'm wrong, you think I'm an idiot, please remember, failing on this channel is just your first attempt at learning. I hope everyone has a wonderful day, and I will see you all tomorrow.